Hey everyone, my name is Alex, and I'm just your average guy in his late 20s, working as a sales rep for a tech company. I travel a lot for work, hopping from city to city, staying in budget hotels that all start to blur together after a while. This story happened about a year ago in a small town called Riverton, up in the Midwest. It's one of those places where the main street has a diner, a gas station, and not much else, quiet, forgotten, the kind of spot where you go for a quick business meeting and leave without a second thought. My routine was pretty standard back then. I'd fly in, rent a car, check into whatever motel had the best deal on my company's expense account, and spend the evenings catching up on emails or watching TV in my room. That trip to Riverton was no different at first. I had a meeting with a local distributor the next day, so I booked a room at the Riverton Inn, this old 3-story building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. Faded blue paint on the outside, a neon sign flickering vacancy in the parking lot. I pulled up around 7 p.m., tired from the drive, and headed to the front desk. The lobby was dimly lit, with that musty smell of old carpet and cheap air freshener. The clerk was an older woman, maybe in her 50s, with tired eyes and a name tag that said, Martha. She handed me the key card without much chat. But as she did, she glanced at the room number on the screen and paused. Room 409, she said, her voice dropping a little. You sure you don't want something on a lower floor? We have a nice one on the second. I laughed it off. I'm not superstitious, and I figured she was just trying to upsell or something. Nah, I'm good, I told her. As long as it has a bed and Wi-Fi. She nodded slowly, but there was this weird look in her eyes, like she wanted to say more but held back. It made me feel a bit off, but I shrugged it away. My girlfriend, Sarah, was with me that time. She tagged along for a mini vacation since her job let her work remotely. We grabbed our bags and took the elevator up. It was one of those creaky old ones that jerked a little as it moved, and the hallway on the 4th floor was silent, unnaturally so. No sounds from other rooms, no footsteps, just the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Our room was at the end of the hall, and as we walked, I noticed the door to 409 had a fresh coat of paint, unlike the others which were scuffed and worn. It was a small thing, but it stuck with me. Why repaint just one door? Inside, the room was basic. 2 queen beds, a TV, a small desk, and a bathroom that smelled faintly of bleach. Sarah unpacked while I set up my laptop. Everything seemed normal, but as the evening went on, little things felt off. The air felt thicker, heavier, like the room was holding its breath. When I looked out the window, the view was of the dark woods behind the hotel, and I swear I saw a shadow move among the trees, but it was probably just a deer or something. We ordered pizza and watched a movie, laughing about the clerk's weird warning. But as we settled in for the night, I couldn't shake this odd feeling, like we weren't alone in that quiet building. Then, just as I was drifting off, there was a soft knock on the door. Not loud, but deliberate. Sarah was already asleep, so I got up, heart skipping a beat. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing, just the empty hallway. I opened the door a crack, chain still on, and called out, "Hello!" Silence. No one there. I closed it quickly, telling myself it was a prank or a wrong room. But as I lay back down, I couldn't help wondering, who knocks and then vanishes like that? The next morning, Sarah and I brushed off the knock as nothing. Maybe kids messing around or another guest who got lost. We had breakfast in the lobby diner, simple stuff like eggs and coffee. Martha was there again, serving tables, and when she poured my refill, she leaned in close. "How was the room?" she asked, her voice low. I told her it was fine, but mentioned the knock. Her face tightened, and she muttered, "Sometimes that happens up there. Just keep the door locked." Before I could ask more, she hurried away. Sarah rolled her eyes and said, "She's probably just bored and likes scaring tourists." I laughed, but it planted a seed of unease. My meeting went okay, but throughout the day, strange things started piling up. Back at the hotel that afternoon, while Sarah was on a video call, I heard faint footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, like someone pacing outside our door. I checked the peephole again. Empty. Then my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I answered, and there was just breathing on the other end. heavy and raspy, before it hung up. I blocked it, figuring spam, but it happened twice more that evening, each time the breathing sounding closer, more intentional. We decided to explore the town to shake it off. At the local diner, an old man at the counter stared at us the whole time we ate, his eyes unblinking, like he knew something we didn't. When we left, I glanced back and saw him watching through the window. Sarah noticed too, but said, "Small town, people are nosy." Back at the hotel, things escalated. As we walked down the hall to 409, I found a crumpled note slipped under our door. "You shouldn't be here." No signature, just those words in shaky handwriting. I showed Sarah, and she freaked out a bit, but when we told Martha at the desk, she sighed and said, "Probably a joke from the night staff. I'll look into it." She didn't seem convinced, though, and her dismissal made me feel isolated, like we were overreacting. That night, the unease built. We heard scratching sounds from inside the walls, like nails dragging slowly across wood. I called the front desk, no answer. Then, around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from another unknown number. "Room 409 sees you." My stomach dropped. Sarah thought it was a prank, maybe hackers or something, but I started feeling watched. We double-checked the locks, but as we tried to sleep, I heard whispers. Faint, muffled voices coming from the vent, too quiet to make out words, but they sounded urgent, warning. I told my best friend about it over text, and he laughed it off. "Dude, you're in a creepy motel, your imagination's running wild." No one believed us. They thought we were stressed from travel. The tipping point came the next morning. We woke to find fingerprints smudged on the outside of our window. 4 stories up, impossible to reach without a ladder. Someone had been out there, pressing against the glass while we slept. That's when it hit. Whatever this was, it knew exactly where we were, and it was getting closer, touching our space. By the 3rd night, the hotel felt like a trap closing in. Sarah wanted to leave, but my meeting ran late, and the next flight out wasn't until morning. We barricaded the door with a chair, kept the lights on, and tried to distract ourselves with TV. But as the hours ticked by, the building grew quieter, like it was waiting. Around 2 a.m., with Sarah dozing fitfully, I heard it. Soft footsteps approaching down the hall, stopping right outside our door. My heart pounded in my chest, loud enough that I thought it would give me away. I held my breath, staring at the knob, watching it jiggle slightly, as if testing the lock. The scratching started again, this time on the door itself. Slow, deliberate drags, like claws or fingernails etching into the wood. I whispered to Sarah, shaking her awake, and her eyes went wide with terror. We backed away to the far wall, my hands trembling as I grabbed my phone to call 911. But the signal was dead. No bars, just no service. The whispers returned, louder now, seeping through the cracks. Fragmented words like, "Stay," "Inside," "Watch." Shadows danced under the door gap, shifting as if someone, or something, was pacing just inches away. My breathing came in short gasps, sweat trickling down my back. I could feel my pulse in my throat, every muscle tensed. Sarah clutched my arm, her nails digging in, whispering, "What do we do?" I crept closer, phone flashlight on, and pressed my eye to the peephole. First, nothing, just the dim hallway. Then, a shape emerged. A tall, hunched figure in ragged clothes, face obscured by shadows, standing motionless. It raised a hand, pressing it flat against the door with a thud that vibrated through the frame. The knob rattled again, more violently, and I stumbled back, heart racing like it would burst. The figure didn't speak, but I heard a low chuckle, echoing unnaturally. Started pushing, the door creaking under the pressure, the chain straining. Sarah whimpered, and I grabbed the lamp as a weapon, ready to swing. Seconds stretched into eternity. What if it broke in? What did it want? The pushing stopped suddenly, replaced by heavy breathing right at the peephole, like it knew I was watching. I appeared, bloodshot and staring back, unblinking. I froze, terror paralyzing me, wondering if this was the end. Then, just as the chain groaned like it might snap, Footsteps echoed down the hall, Martha's voice calling out, "Hey, what are you doing up here?" The shadow vanished in an instant, the door going still. We waited, shaking, until Martha knocked gently. "It's me. Open up." We let her in and she looked pale. "I saw someone run off. You okay?" We nodded barely, but as we packed to leave at dawn, I couldn't shake the question. What if she hadn't come? We checked out at first light, heart still racing, and drove straight to the airport. Sarah was quiet the whole way, and I kept glancing in the rearview, half expecting to see that figure following. Back home in Chicago, we went to the police, filing a report about the harassment, the notes, calls, fingerprints. They took it seriously at first, contacting the Riverton Inn, but Martha claimed no record of any incident and suggested we might have imagined it due to fatigue. The cops found no fingerprints on file matching ours, and the phone numbers traced to burners. They advised us to change our numbers and stay vigilant, but without more evidence, it was just a creepy story. My boss was understanding, letting me skip future trips to Riverton, but friends and family? They listened wide-eyed, then chalked it up to a bad hotel or local pranksters. "Hotels have weird vibes sometimes," my sister said. "No one fully got how it shook us." Life changed after that. I quit traveling as much, switching to remote sales gigs. Sarah and I installed extra locks on our apartment door, a security camera in the hall. I'm more paranoid now, always checking behind me in parking lots, jumping at unexpected knocks, avoiding motels altogether. We sleep with a light on, and I double-check windows every night, that heavy air from 409 still fresh in my mind. Therapy helped a bit, labeling it residual anxiety. But the fear lingers, making everyday places feel unsafe. A few months later, things got weird again. I got an anonymous email, no subject, just a photo attachment. The view from our old window in 409, time-stamped the night we left. No message, but it was clear. Someone had been watching, maybe still was. I reported it, but it bounced from a dead account. Now, I hear faint footsteps in our hallway sometimes, or catch a shadow in the corner of my eye, gone when I turn. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder, what if that thing in room 409 wasn't just a person? What if it's still out there, waiting for us to check into the wrong place again?